Welcome everybody. It's great to be here with you today, and I'm just super excited to talk with you about passion. So specifically, how it fires you up or burns you out, and what you can do about it. Today's information is designed for us to help our students, but I think there's plenty of relevance to our own lives as well as clarinet performers and educators. In the early 2000s, social psychologist Robert Vallerand started working on the concept of passion, and he has since validated his theoretical model, calling it the dualistic model of passion. There are a lot of reasons that burnout occurs for musicians, including things like taking on too many responsibilities, hostile work environments, trying to live up to unreasonable expectations, but sometimes our own passion is at the root of it. So, what exactly is passion? Well, it's not just that we love something. Passion is a relationship that we have with a specific activity, like playing the clarinet. We spend a lot of time doing it, we really love it, it's valuable to us, it's motivational for us, and importantly, the activity becomes internalized so much that it becomes part of your identity. And how does passion develop? Well, as we make our way through life, we all have needs for self growth. And to meet these needs, we naturally pursue activities that help us to feel autonomous, that is, independent and in control. Activities that we can build competence in, and activities that provide us opportunity for connection with others. So, for a young clarinet student, the process of developing passion will happen in stages. First, we select clarinet playing from among available activities, and then we may begin to enjoy it and feel it's valuable to us. And after we devote more time and energy to it, we begin to see the activity as part of our identity. And importantly, all of these stages are influenced by cultural norms, our families, our physical environment. And so these processes can happen in an autonomous way or in a controlled way. So an example, a really common example of a controlled activity selection would be if your parents made you take piano lessons. And an example of a controlled activity valuation would be this. So let's say you come from a long line of musicians and learning an instrument was conveyed to you as a family value. So you end up taking clarinet lessons not only because you like it, but also because it's making your parents happy and you desire their approval. So playing clarinet then is partially externally controlled. It's providing you a source of external validation, and it allows you to avoid the disapproval of your parents and family. So in Vallerand's dualistic model of passion, there's two kinds of passion. One where the internalization process that we just looked at was autonomous, and that's going to result in harmonious passion. So with harmonious passion, we feel we are participating in playing the clarinet freely, and our sense of self and self-esteem is not dependent on this activity. And then there is obsessive passion, which results when that internalization process is controlled, meaning there are contingencies like our self-esteem, our sense of approval that are attached to our engagement with playing the clarinet. With obsessive passion, we need the validation of others. We need the external rewards and praise and prestige and social and professional capital in order to keep our self-esteem intact through this activity. Our participation then is not freely chosen. Instead, we need and use this activity in order to feel worthy or accepted. It's important then to emphasize that passion is not a personality trait. It's a relationship that we have with clarinet playing. And nearly everybody has passion for something. And usually this is for more than one thing. And then finally, most of us approach specific tasks and events in our clarinet world with varying degrees of both kinds of passion. And so, our harmoniously passionate clarinetist might be thinking these kinds of things. Their identity is not fragile. They are open to what they can learn from new experiences. They focus on themselves for improvement instead of comparing to others. And they have a flexible engagement, meaning they can stop if and when they need to. And the obsessively passionate clarinetist might be thinking these kinds of things. Their self-esteem is contingent on what others think of their performance. They feel threatened by new experiences and other people. They feel a need to self-defend. And they have rigid engagement with clarinet playing so that they are unable to stop, even if it would be harmful to continue. But it's very interesting that obsessive and harmonious passion do have some things in common. They enable us to persist in the face of challenges and to dedicate ourselves to deliberate practice, which both lead us to something pretty wonderful in our clarinet world, very high levels of mastery. So how do we get from harmonious passion to feeling fired up? For the harmoniously passionate clarinetist, the focus of the mastery is internal. The default status that they have is that they are worthy. So when something happens like a big performance mistake, their internal dialogue tells them that this is going to be okay. They realize that they can learn from this. And without shame or guilt or anxiety, they embark on the next challenge. And while they're practicing, for example, they are able to keep their sense of the outside world at bay. And this helps them achieve deep levels of flow, of positive affect, of high levels of creativity. Because they're open to new experiences, they're able to set mastery goals, which are based on self-improvement instead of improvement relative to others. And importantly, when they need to take a break from practicing for auditions and competitions and performances, they can. They can put the clarinet back in the case and immerse themselves in these other activities and responsibilities. And this has enormous benefits. In being able to fully engage in something that isn't clarinet, this harmoniously passionate clarinetist is going to reap the full restorative benefits of that engagement, including happiness, flow, the nurturing of their well-being. And because they're able to be fully present when they spend time with other people in their life, they're able to maintain important relationships. And these relationships can in turn act as a source of support for our clarinetist if times get rough. So when it's time for them to get back to the practice room, our harmoniously passionate clarinetist can arrive restored with a sense of support. They know they are a valuable person and clarinetist, even in their imperfection, and they're fired up to keep on learning and growing. And how do we get from obsessive passion to burnout? For students who approach the clarinet activities with obsessive passion, their main focus is external. They need others to provide validation and acceptance, and they need those external markers in order to feel okay about who they are as a person and as a clarinetist. For them, the default is not, I know I'm worthy, but I must prove my worth to others. For this clarinetist, even constructive criticism is almost too painful to accept, and a public mistake is deeply and profoundly humiliating. So instead of thinking, hey, I can learn from this mistake, they are likely to avoid talking about it, to hide it, to overcorrect for it, and some will engage in self-enhancing strategies like bragging about themselves or acting superior. So it can be with a sense of shame and anxiety or being judged that they engage in their practicing and performing. And with those thoughts and feelings going on, always with one eye on the outside world, they can be impeded from experiencing those deep levels of flow and creativity and positive affect. Because the obsessively passionate clarinetist views new experiences as potential sources of threat to their sense of self, and because their standard of reference for work satisfaction is external, they tend to set goals that are performance approach based, where the object is to be competent at something relative to others, or goals that are performance avoidance based, meaning the goal is simply to avoid looking incompetent compared to others. And this is partially why for this person, other clarinetists can be considered threats and to their self-esteem and obstacles to their success. When another clarinetist has a big success, the obsessively passionate clarinetist feels threatened by that because their goal to avoid looking incompetent relative to others just got harder to achieve. And importantly, when they need a break, they are less successful at taking one. If they're tired, injured, sick, have other responsibilities, they will rigidly persist in their efforts to, say, keep up a hefty practice routine for their upcoming audition or performance, even if it's harmful to do so. And when they finally put the clarinet back in the case, they find it difficult to immerse themselves in this other activity or responsibility because they ruminate on that upcoming audition or competition, on their mistakes, on criticism, Unimagined criticism. Rumination prevents the obsessively passionate clarinetist from fully engaging in other activities and responsibilities. And so they don't receive the full restorative benefits of those engagements, including the nurturing of their well-being in non-clarinet ways. Because they are not able to be fully present when they spend time with the people in their life, they're less able to maintain important relationships. Those relationships can break down and not be available as a source of support when times get rough. Relationships and responsibilities are seen as obstacles to their desire to focus on the clarinet. And so playing the clarinet comes into conflict with other aspects of life. Relationships can become strained. Responsibilities are left unmanaged. Personal health can be ignored, and the clarinetist can begin to experience the related guilt, shame, and anxiety. So when it's time for them to get back into the practice room, our obsessively passionate clarinetist does not always arrive restored, refreshed with a sense of balance and support. They may feel deeply the enormous emotional toll involved in having their self-esteem swing high and low based on what they think others think of them. And their support network may not be intact. And nobody can keep that up for long. So they are primed to experience burnout. So these are some of the questions that the Mayo Clinic thinks is relevant to assessing elements of burnout. Becoming cynical and critical, lacking the energy to be productive, finding it hard to concentrate, feeling disillusioned, lacking satisfaction from your achievements, and using food, drugs, or alcohol to feel better. And the consequences of ignored or unaddressed burnout, according to the Mayo Clinic, can be significant. And along with all of these negative health effects, the emotional toll of burnout can lead a student to give up on clarinet for a while or even permanently. But as we all know, inherent to our world of clarinet performance and pedagogy are auditions, competitions, and the like. And some are zero-sum, where there is a singular winner, further fueling that mentality that other clarinetists are obstacles to our success. And as we know, external approval does matter. Being judged by others is how we get jobs and gigs. It isn't any wonder that we experience burnout. So, what can we do about it? It goes without saying that if we are noticing signs of burnout or mental health challenges in our students, our immediate responsibility is to connect them with help. Be prepared to offer them help instantly if they need it. Here are the suggestions that come up if you just search for what to do about burnout. And these are all wonderful suggestions, especially for someone who is right this moment experiencing burnout. These are kind of triage interventions. These in-the-moment strategies, coupled with what we now know about passion, can begin to ease the contingencies of obsessive passion that lead to burnout. So the great news is that our passion is not set in stone. It's normal to have elements of both kinds of passion as we approach our clarinet activities. And our passion is shaped and reshaped with every experience. We have the opportunity with every interaction to help a student develop a harmoniously passionate relationship to their clarinet playing. So our help for students can come in four main areas. And the first is autonomy support. So autonomous internalization, remember, is the crux of the harmonious passion mindset. And this helps protect against burnout. So first, something as simple as seeking their opinions can have a huge impact over time. What piece do you want to study next? What do you think your signature strengths are? Did you like the last etude we did? Do you prefer this recording or that recording? Next, we can encourage them to develop standards that are self-referential instead of relying solely on the outside world for feedback. And of course, we need to let them know our own assessments of their performance and learning, but we should also hear theirs as well. Are you pleased with how your performance went? What was great about it? What do you think we should address about it? Are you ready to move on to a new work, or would you like to keep working on this piece? From there, we can help our students set mastery goals, which are based again on improving relative to themselves instead of performance approach or avoidance goals that are centered on comparison to others. And finally, in soliciting their opinions and encouraging them to self-refer, we're conveying a broader value, that it's more important that they begin to navigate from an internal compass and become self-satisfied in achieving their goals than that they fulfill the musical expectations of others without reflection, including ours. And all of these elements can apply equally to us as performers and educators, allowing ourselves to move in the direction of things that naturally interest us, regardless of the associated professional capital. Being careful to catch ourselves when we place too strong an emphasis on the opinions of others, and determining our own standards for excellence, whether that be in technique or tone quality or anything else from within. These are ways to reshape passion from controlled to autonomous. A second area where we can guide our students toward harmonious passion and away from burnout is in fostering connectedness. Remembering that obsessively passionate clarinet players often view others as obstacles, we can create situations within our studios that ameliorate that mindset. As a small example, if you have more than one student studying the same etude or solo, we can suggest that they spend some time working on it together. We may remember our math and English study groups from high school and college. This is also a really nice format for musicians to develop relationships that are non-threatening. Next, studio events, parties, hangouts, chats, Facebook groups, Instagram, YouTube channels, Discord groups. These are all places for our students to connect with each other and build supportive relationships. As their teachers, we can get the ball rolling to establish a studio social media platform and then let the students take off with it. We can also connect our students with other professionals in non-performance contexts so that their network of trusted colleagues grows. This is especially helpful for students who usually only meet other professional clarinetists in an audition or a competition setting. And this can help bust that myth that other clarinetists don't have a meaningful life outside of their activities. And again, these principles apply to us as well. Forging friendships, staying in touch with colleagues, and initiating collaborative projects is a great way to build support for ourselves and others, so that instead of feeling threatened by the success of other professionals, we can inspire each other, much like our fellow Olympians have been doing these past days, to greater and greater heights. And finally, we can create opportunities for our students to teach and mentor younger students, to build their sense of connection through leadership, and to be reminded that learning the clarinet is not always high stakes. It can be goofy and squeaky and silly. And what a tremendous lesson for them to see that right now, with all of their perfections, and even on the worst read day ever, they have worth as a clarinetist to this young person that they are helping. A third area where we can help students avoid burnout is in helping them reframe the significance of mistakes, especially since the obsessively passionate clarinetist is deeply concerned with comparisons and can be overly fixated on avoiding mistakes, especially in public performances, but even in lessons too. First, we can tell our students outright that errors, especially performance errors, are entirely expected. It's not a matter of if, but when, and that mistakes are welcome anyway, as valuable signposts indicating what topic or trick we're going to discuss next. These ideas help take away students' fear that they might be disappointing us when they do have a train wreck. And it's a little bit scary, but our students need to know that we also make mistakes. We can share with them our stories of the times that we've had a bad performance or audition and remind them that we got over it. We sometimes also unnecessarily and unwittingly reinforce the message that mistakes are to be avoided at all costs, even in a situation is built for learning and openness as a private lesson, when we avoid playing for and with our students in that setting. Some of us don't play with and for our students out of our own fear that we will make a mistake or not sound amazing in front of them. We too can reframe what we think the goals of lessons are, so that this becomes a safe zone for students and for us, where mistakes are expected and laughed over and learned from. The message that we want to send to students in these matters is that competence is readily achieved not by avoiding mistakes, but by accepting the natural course of making mistakes and learning from them, that mistakes are in fact necessary for mastery. And our final area to target with students to help them avoid burnout is in identity building. We all have other areas of life that require our attention, and most of us have other areas we're passionate about. Students can feel supported in attending to those areas when we simply ask about them. This active support of our students' other identities helps remove that all or nothing ruminating mindset that puts students at risk of burnout and feeling as if they can't pursue a career in the clarinet world unless they become entirely subsumed by it. We can explicitly suggest that students take time away from their practice, express happiness that they had a vacation, and not react badly or take it personally if they need to be absent. We can encourage them to develop other interests, and we can share with them our interests. With our support, they can feel good pursuing the many things outside of a practice room that they need in life to become wonderful, not burnt out clarinetists. And this goes for us as well. Developing and nurturing our other identities is necessary for well-being. In closing, perhaps you'll recall the enormous and beloved place in your life that I hope some of your previous teachers have occupied, a place that is far larger in your heart than the actual number of hours you spent with them would indicate. And knowing that even in the limited time we have with our students, they do look up to us for guidance and support and role modeling and approval. And we can enjoy and take the fullest advantage of our opportunities to shape our students as passionate clarinet players and as healthy humans in the world. Thank you for listening, and I will open the floor now for questions and comments.
That's fantastic. Great. Does anyone have any questions for Lynne with regards to her presentation? And Lynne, feel free to drop your contact information in the chat if you wanted to do that for anyone that may not have anything come to mind at the moment.
Yep, I will do that right now. There we go.
And no questions?
That's wonderful. That means everybody's got it. We've got it. Wow, light bulbs.
It is really incredible advice.
Thank you. Thank you.